Hey guys, it's Mike Burns for Ocean Air Sports in Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. And today we're going to go over mast bend curves because we want to know which masts are compatible with which sails. And this is really important when you're buying new gear or switching brands, that you want to make sure maybe you don't want to buy all new sails and all new masts. You just want to buy some new sails. You just want a replacement mast for the sails you already have. But I'm going to help you figure out which ones are compatible for you and how to calculate the mast bend curves and all that good stuff. All right, so what is a mast bend curve? So basically, each mast will have a specific curve. And in the old days of windsurfing, we used to have basically three different types of curves. So one was a flex top, one was a hard top, and then you had your constant curve masts that were kind of down the middle of the two. So flex tops really flexed off at the top of the mast. Hard tops were stiffer and straighter at the top of the mast, and the constant curve was somewhere in the middle. Luckily, nowadays, most of the manufacturers have kind of consolidated into that constant curve spectrum. While they're not all exactly the same, you will be able to use a whole lot of brand masts with a whole lot of brand sails. All right. How do we calculate the mast bend number? So this is what you want to look at when you're deciding whether a mast is going to be as compatible as possible with your sail. So you're going to look at the mast bend number, and the way to get that is it's really easy. Most of the manufacturers have if you go on their websites from third-party masts especially, you'll see a top flex number and a bottom flex number for the mast. So that means it's how much the top part of the mast flexes and how much the bottom part of the mast flexes. And when you subtract the bottom one from the top one, there is your mast bend number. All right, so you can figure out. So basically, constant curve masts, wrote a few down here just off some sites. Constant curve masts are going to fall in between 10 and 15 on the bend curve chart. All right, so in Ocean Air Sports, we carry four primary brands. We have Severn sails, we have Ezzy sails, we have Duotone, and we have Goya. All four of those brands fall somewhere in that constant curve spectrum. So all four brands will be somewhat compatible with each other. That said, each brand's specific mast will be the best mast used for that brand. So when you come into the shop and you say, hey, I have a Severn blade, what's the best mast I can get for that? It's going to be a Severn mast. When somebody comes in and says, hey, I have a Goya fringe, what's the best mast for that? It's going to be a Goya mast. All right, but that said, I personally have been sailing Goya masts with my Severn sails perfectly happy for years and years and years, since 2015. I've been using a mix of No Limits, Chinook masts, Goya masts, and of course Severn masts. Severn masts are the best, but I have a whole lot of fun with the other brands as well on those sails. So to be even more specific, when I was doing R&D for No Limits, I was able to bend test some Severn masts compared with No Limits Sumo masts, and then I was able to also calculate Chinook, Ezzy, Goya, and I even found just a one-off whack job mast with Neil Pride. This is the older Neil Pride. Neil Pride also came back more center, but I found specs for an old Neil Pride mast just to give you an idea what a flex top would look like that would be not compatible with any of our sails in our shop. All right, so just to give you the middle of the road, the very middle of the road was the Chinook mast. So if you go on Chinook's website and you look under their products for masts, you can see, and we sell the Chinook mast in the shop. The top flex is 77. The bottom flex is 63, and when you subtract the bottom from the top, you end up with a bend curve number of 14. All right, so that bend curve 14 is right in the constant curve range there. So that's going to be a really compatible mast for Ezzy, Goya, Severn, and Duotone. Now we'll take an Ezzy mast. If you go to the Ezzy site, an Ezzy mast is 77 top and 62 bottom. So that's a little bit more top flex than the Chinook, landing at a 15. All right, so the Chinook will work great in Ezzy. A Goya is a 79 top and a 64.5 bottom. That ends up at 14.5. Again, that's going to be a really compatible. So the Goya mask is going to be super compatible with Ezzy, with Chinook. We'll move on to Severn sails. So those specs are hard to find, but when I signed on to Severn, we were able to actually bend some of the new versions of the masks at the factory back in 2015. That was after Severn changed from a really hard top, and Severn was another one of the manufacturers that went from that really hard top, like Gastra still is now, and they moved more towards constant curve. So when we bent a Severn RDM 90, it came out at 13. So a Chinook mast at 14 is only 1 point off from a Severn RDM Blue, which is their 90% carbon mast. So again, really compatible mast. I guess the farthest, actually, and even the like a No Limit Sumo that we were bend testing against, that came out at 12.5. So I was really psyched to see that the No Limit Sumo was only 0.5 of a point away from the Severn mast I was going to be using, or for the Severn sails I was going to be using. So anyway, guys, so basically what I'm saying is you can use any of the masts you find in our shop for any of the sails in our shop. However, the best sail for that specific brand the best mast for the specific sail you're looking at is going to be that Mast brand. Now just for that wacky one, Neil Pride, and this isn't a new Neil Pride one, they came back more towards center, but Neil Pride, they had an 80% top and a 58.9 bottom for a mast bend of 21.1. So I can guarantee you that sail or that mast is not going to work in any of our sails. The bottom of the mast is going to end up overhanging the battens on the sail, and the top flex is going to go off, and the wind's just going to blow right past. It's going to be an awful feeling sail. You won't be able to rig it right, and you don't want to use an old Neil Pride mast with any of the constant curve brands. All right, so I hope that helps you out. I hope it gives you some peace of mind when you're trying to switch brands, because there's it might be a good chance when you switch from older sail brand to a nicer sail brand that even though you have the wrong mast, the sail's going to work better anyway. All right, so that's it in a nutshell. Hopefully, happy calculations, and hopefully I'll see you on the water soon in Hatteras. All right, happy sailing, guys. All the best.